Oh, we're live. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to the first panel discussion of women's football and time in COVID. The first edition will be from the players' perspective and experiences. So today we have with us only five notable members of the former and current members of the national team. This series was meant to engage with the stakeholders of women's football and keep us connected during these times. So while we are at home, we're still educating ourselves, learning, and speaking out. More importantly, to get the conversation going on in women in sports, specifically women's football. And here we have with us today my lovely co-moderator, Natasha Alquiros, to introduce the players to you.
Hey everyone, and of course with us we have four very notable national team players. I'll introduce them to you one by one and of course their notable achievements. So let's start first with Shai Del Campo. She's a 20-year-old striker from San Juan, currently playing with DLSU. She's been with the national team since 2017. She has 20 caps and 11 goals to her name for the national team. She had a breakout season throughout 2019, Pinay Futbolera, Best Striker, Rookie of the Year, Top Scorer with 10 goals, and UAP Champion, as well as PFF Women's League Champ for 2018 and 2019. She also scored in every tournament last year. Let's give it up for Shai Del Campo. And second on our list, we have Camille Rodriguez. Camille Rodriguez is a 25-year-old midfielder from Zamboanga City. She's currently with Kaya FC. She's a product of the youth national team as well, U16, U19. During her youth years, she was the RIFA MVP 11 times. National team for 2011 to 2012, came back 2017 till present. She has 29 caps and 8 goals to her name. Ateneo team captain 2015 to 2017, UAP Best Striker for 2015, and Mythical 11 of 2017. Let's give it up for Cam. And next on our list, we also have Ina Palacios, 26-year-old goalkeeper from Manila. She's currently attached with Kaya FC, part of the U16, U19, and she's also been with the national team since 2011. She has 44 caps and 15 clean sheets. DLSU team captain for 3 years. She was a UAP best goalkeeper for 4 years, UAP champ in 2017, Mythical 11, PFF Women's League Champ 2017, co-captain for the national team from 2015 to 2019, and fan favorite ASEAN goalkeeper for 2019. Let's give it up for Ina. And last but not the least, we have Patrice Impelido. Patrice is 32 years old, midfielder from Manila and Ilocos. She's currently attached with Kaya FC. She's been in the national team since 2005. 61 caps and 8 goals. She's been the team captain for the national team for 4 years, college MVP 2009, Rookie of the Year 2006, Mid-American Conference second team in 2007. At one point, she was also the assistant coach for the national team for U14, for U15, and U16 as well. She's also the fan favorite ASEAN Women's Football Captain of 2019. Let's give it up for Patrice Impelido. So of course, we'd like to thank everyone for joining us, and we'll start it off with the questions as well. We'll start off with the team captain, Patrice Impelido. So Patrice, since you've been part of the national team since 2005, tell us about those pivotal moments in your career and that gap between the Philippines and the likes of Vietnam, Myanmar, and Thailand back then.
Usually Thailand, Vietnam, and Myanmar are the usual powerhouses in Southeast Asia for women's football. They have a very good pro football program and they have training all year round. Since I've been playing, we have never won against them. But there was a year that we lost against Thailand by 9, Myanmar by 8, and then Vietnam by 10. But last year we were able to close that gap. So we lost to Thailand by 2. We actually tied Myanmar 0-0 and lost to Vietnam by 1. I think a big factor to achieving that was that 2017 was a rebuilding year for us. and it was led by Coach Buda and Coach Let. I think a big difference was that we were able to keep a core group of us together for 3 years and had the same coach. So we achieved a lot in those 3 years. In 2017, we qualified for the Women's Asian Cup in Jordan. 2018, we qualified for the second round of Olympics qualifiers. And then recently in 2019, we made it to the semifinals for AFF and SEA Games.
Of course, you've played a very important role all throughout those years. It's very important to have veteran players like you leading the team. And of course, speaking of veteran players, we want to ask our other veteran player, Ina Palacios, since you've been part of the national team since 2011, tell us about those building moments as well since you joined the squad.
Okay, well, when I started, I honestly don't remember a lot about it because for one, I was very young. But with the help of Pimp and you, of course, Tasha and Belay, you guys were there also. You guys were very instrumental for me in my development at least. But looking back on the scoreline with what Pimp was saying is that it wasn't even that much of a difference. Like what she said during her time, they got beat 7, 8, 9. But from what I can remember, like 2011 till the 2013, it wasn't bad. I guess that time it was more of like Thailand more than Vietnam, who's stronger. But I think the big difference of how it was then to now, it's just that before, like the team, we always adjusted to how the other teams played. So we were always playing defense. I always remember, I don't remember having the ball. I always remembered playing defense, and it was very tiring, and that's all I could remember. And I think now, because before we didn't really have the Philippine way, and recently lang now we've been developing that. Now we have a threat now, or like people know about us because we play a certain way, and that's only we only developed that I would say in the last three years. So I think that's the big difference, or like the big gap. And now we can say that we can win games now against the powerhouses. Yeah.
Of course, in addition to that, as you guys were both talking about the rebuilding program starting 2017, let's turn it over as well to Cam Rodriguez. You suited up for the national team in 2017 with also an impressive 2019 SEA Games. Tell us about the team performance against the other powerhouses in the Southeast Asian Games, and tell us how the Philippines were able to close that gap.
Yeah, I think it's very crucial to know that our success in 2019 wasn't just from the team itself, but it was sort of like a rebuilding over the years. So Ina and Pimp mentioned that the past 2 years have been crucial in our success, mainly because we have been playing together, and this is what successful teams do, right? We play together, we train together, and in a way build sort of like an identity as a team. So hopefully we continue to do that. And I think that's a challenge now with, in a way, parang na-pause yung momentum namin, diba? So it's a challenge for us to keep pushing, keep really making history, because that's what we're doing now.
And of course, the youngster on this panel for today, we have Shai Del Campo. And speaking of as well national team journeys, Shai, you've had an impressive start with the national team. In 2017, you scored your first goal literally from your first touch during your first cap for the Philippines. So that's really an impressive start. In 2019, of course, as we said, was a breakout year for you, Pinay Footballera for 2019. So take us through your journey with the national team.
I started playing for the national team. It was March of 2017. It's my first tryouts with them, and before that, I know my first time playing with like senior level was playing in PFFW Women's League. So I think that's where it led me to being scouted to like try out for the national team. So yeah, that's a good opportunity for me and like for everyone else. So yeah, like from there, that's my first tournament with them Ina, Pimp, So that time, that was my first debut with the national team, like national team senior level already, and it was really a big like moment for me. Like it was scary, to be honest, because like I was with like senior level, like um their football levels like already there, and I'm like, I look up to them so much. So like me being there is like I'm already learning so much, and the experience from 2017, 2018, 2019, I've learned a lot so much. And it's not just from like playing, but also looking at them like in and out the field. You learn a lot, and that's really a good thing that I've learned like throughout my playing years with the national team.
Okay, and of course for Shai, during your younger years as well, as we say, compared to let's say Ina and Cam, they started with U14, U16, U19. But your story is quite different because your first time playing with that flag on your chest, on your jersey, was when you reached the senior team. So take us through that journey that you had throughout your younger years, trying out for the national team and finally breaking out only during that senior team.
Well, she's kind of frozen, Tosh.
Okay. So since she's frozen, I'll take you through Shai's journey. So with the Shai, it's quite a different story as well because she did try out for the youth national team, but she didn't make the cut. And, you know, it's very impressive to see such a young player that though she did not make the youth national team, is that she continued to play. And eventually, while playing for the Women's League, which is the local football league, the PFF Women's League, that's a local football league, which means that through the Women's Football League, it's in a sense, it's been successful because we're able now, it's a venue to tap players into the national team. So we've seen this development that we never really had back then because there was no venue for local league players to be able to play. So it's nice to see that a player such as Shai, who, as we all mentioned, had a breakout year in 2019, grow so much from being able to show her talent on the local league and be able to translate it on the international stage. And of course, speaking of national team journeys, we'll throw it back first to Patrice and Impelido. So speaking of national team, you used to be a foreign-based player. What made you decide to move to the Philippines?
Well, tournaments were happening every year, so I think it would have been too hard for me to be flying back and forth. So it was just easier for me just to be based here in Manila. I have family here, so thankfully I had a place to stay, so that wasn't a problem. So, yeah.
Of course, in addition to that, as we said, you've been playing for the national team since 2005. You decided to make that jump, move to Manila, and be a local-based player, but you took a break from the national team from 2014 to 2016. How are you able to get back in playing shape and put yourself back in that playing mentality in 2017?
Well, 2017, I knew that the big tournament was Tajikistan. So what I did, I went to the gym every other day, like what usual players would do. And then I'll just usually use the treadmill or the bike to work on my endurance and stamina. But then also I was playing with CCAT FC with you. And we also had trainings like twice a week and then had games on the weekends for the PFF Women's League. So that's how I got myself back in shape.
All right, so that's good to know. And it's such a great example for players out there, who've taken a break from football. And as well, we've seen the success that Patrice and Impelido has had on that international stage. And speaking of another player who's had a spectacular playing career, let's go back to Ina. Ina, just this question for you. We know you've had a great playing career thus far, but it hasn't been the easiest. You've suffered a lot of injuries throughout your career. What were the key learning moments? And of course, how are you able to come back stronger each time?
It's never easy. Like what I was saying, I started young and I also got injured at a very young age. So one of like the major injuries that I've had and I'm still struggling with is my shoulder. Ever since that, parang I couldn't find the time to have it fixed because there were just tournament every year, and I went to college, and then there was tournament every year internationally, and I just couldn't find the time. But then before, it wasn't really it didn't really bother me because it would always just come back and heal. And I did a lot of strengthening to the point that I didn't have any problems with my shoulder for about 5 years, kind of like the whole stay in college until our preparation for the Jordan tournament, which was the World Cup qualifiers also. And then since then, it's just been very hard because mentally, like as soon as you feel like you're peaking and then you fall down right away, and then now you feel like you're starting from zero again. I think it's the most frustrating feeling that any player could get. And it's a struggle mentally, but how I cope with it, I just always think that, we're representing something bigger than ourselves. At the end of the day, it's never about us. It's always about the country and the sport. And we want to pave the way for the young ones, for them to have an easier path. And what I'm doing, it's not easy, but I fight through it because I love playing. But then there's some parts that you have to sacrifice, and a part of it is my health. And since now we're in the whole COVID situation, I've been thinking about it a lot, and I think it's about time, and it's a perfect time to actually just help myself, like health-wise. It's time to fix up, something like that, since we don't have any tournaments this year and probably not anytime soon.
Well, of course, it's good to know and to see that you're always and continuously working on yourself. So let's turn it back to Shai and continue the question wherein we left off. So what does it feel like, especially knowing that you tried out for the youth national teams, though you didn't make the cut, once you made it to the national team, it was already the women's national team, and you actually had an amazing year. So take us through that experience, especially because it's somewhat different from Cam's and Ina's experience starting off with the national team at a young age.
Yeah. I remember my first tryout for the national team. I think I was 12 years old, and I played football only after a year. Just after a year that I joined, I tried trying out for the national team, like for the youth. First tryout, I didn't get to get in the first cut. So it didn't stop me. So I still played and journey. So my second tryout was year 2013. That was my second tryout for the youth, and so I tried out, and then I got cut again. So it didn't really stop me to challenge myself, because I believe there's still more that I can learn, that there's still something that's waiting for me, like in the future. I know for myself that time it wasn't really my time yet. So tried out again, and then still wasn't given the chance for me yet. So during those time na yung mga tryouts na yun, yung times na yun. So for me, parang it was really a challenge, because yung experience ko with football, it's not really that advanced yet, because I was learning from different coaches, and then yung hindi tutok ba, parang ganun, yung hindi masyadong na-improve yung paglaro ko ng football, ganun basically. So nung time na recruit ako sa Lasal, so yun yung feeling ko, yun yung naging best time na nabigyan ako ng chance na para matuto pa, para malabas pa kung ano yung meron sa akin. So parang nung mga times na yun, parang I know na I'll improve more, like with this big opportunity that was given to me, na I know na hindi lang doon nagtatapos yung tutok ko sa football. So nung time na discover ako sa senior team na, yung na I was given the chance to try out. So parang I was like, oh, this is the chance to show everybody, to prove myself that I can do more. I can prove myself more, that I can play. So yun, parang that's really a big like step for me from being like at times of doubting myself. Na it's really a big leap for me na mapunta sa level na yun. So like thankful ako sa mga teammates ko na they were always there to tell me na we always get our time, yeah.
And of course, Shai, definitely super inspiring, especially for the younger girls out there, who have been playing. You don't always make it right away, and it's always a continuous journey. And you're living proof of that as well, that you didn't make it when you were younger, but you didn't stop working on yourself as well. And look where it's gone you so far at the moment, as we said, Pinay Footballera of 2019. And of course, we'll turn it over now. Another question. And when you talk of Ateneo women's football, you're always the number one person that comes in mind. So to come back for the national team in 2017, of course, was a big boost to the squad. But in terms of 2018, that was the year that you really couldn't break through in the first 11. So when you're here and you're on the bench or coming off the bench, how do you keep yourself motivated to continue playing?
Hi, Tosh. Yeah, that's correct, no? Looking back at the past 2 years of my journey with the team, it's really been quite a ride, it's been emotional, it's been fulfilling, and I really learned a lot. So I think I'll share at least 2 things that helped me keep going throughout, the past 2 years. And the first is really having the right mindset. I mean, us athletes, we know that. Yung laban lang, di ba? Kahit na hindi pinalaro, laban lang. Kahit you train the same amount as your teammates, but you don't get the chance to play, it's okay. Just keep fighting. And when we encounter difficulties like this or challenges, I think it's also important to know na it's okay to feel bad about it. It's okay to cry. Shai and I know this. Sometimes we get frustrated because we don't get an opportunity to play. But I think it's also something that we should take it to ourselves na let's remember that these are challenges. It's a reason for us to step back and assess, but it's not a reason for us to quit. Diba? I remember in 2018, every time I'd cry, I'd tell myself, okay, I'll cry now, but tomorrow, when I wake up, back to the drawing board, and I just have to work my ass off kasi crying can only get me so far. And the second thing is, I think it's important for us to also embrace the support that we get from the people around us. Like looking back at 2018, I was able to see, sometimes when we don't get what you worked hard for, parang nahihiya tayo sa mga friends natin, sa teammates natin, di ba? Na parang, ay, hindi ako nakapaglaro. But 2018 taught me na it doesn't matter if I'm on the bench or if I'm out there scoring goals. Like people believe in me. So I think it's also playing for those people who believe in us and just making the most out of the opportunity that will be given to us. Kasi darating naman talaga yan. So when the opportunity is given to you, to us, we have to rise up to it also. To parang show everyone na, okay, I will make the most out of this and I will play. So thankfully, with the opportunity from my coaches and also the Lord, diba, I was able to start na, in a way, get my footing last year, April, with AFF and then also the SEA Games.
Okay. Patrice, I'll just ask you a bit of a side question as well, especially since you are the captain of the national team. How are you able to motivate, number one, players who were starting, and at the same time, how are you able to motivate the players who got cut and who were sitting on the bench?
Well, like what Cam said, just don't give up, because of course there's going to be a lot of opportunities. Like, okay, you don't make the starting 11. If you don't make the team this time, there's always next time, because there's always going to be tournaments. So you just always have to prepare yourself. So, well, at least with Ina and I, with the past campaign, we were, at least for SEA Games, we actually had everyone be on the same page, know what our goals are. So I think that also helped that that if we had to keep the whole team's mentality like the same and on the same page.
And Ina, do you have anything to add to that in terms of how do you inspire the people around you?
No, I agree with what Pimp said. It's our way, but our like number one principle when we like inspire or like get everyone on the same page is just that we set a good example for the whole team. It's how we show them the work ethic that we give, and we just hope na through that they learn from us. That's basically our technique, Pimp, no? Yeah, something like that.
So of course, that's a good combination so far to keep, of course, the younger players motivated as well. And Shai, I'd like to ask you this question. You know, as everyone knows, there is COVID-19 and it has brought about a lot of uncertainty nowadays. And especially during this enhanced lockdown, all sporting events were canceled, including the UAE. So Coach Lat actually posted this question earlier. Shai, take us through what was your first reaction when you found out that the UAP was canceled?
I actually had a feeling already that it was going to be canceled. Like, I just prepared myself na if ma-cancel siya, okay lang. And if not, at least ready kami. So parang, nung mga times na bago mag-announce nga, so kami ng team, nag-ready na kami na parang, ready pa rin kayo na if matuloy, at least fit kami, at least mentally focus kami, and naka-aim kami sa goal namin. So parang, for me, parang, sige, I'll maintain that goal with me, with my teammates, but I'll make sure na pag dumating yung time na ma-cancel nga, so parang, for me, parang, i-ready yourself ko na wag masyado ma-down, and kasi for me, sayang yung chance na to, kasi it was already starting, UAP was already starting, and kami lang yung team, yung Lasal lang yung team na di nakalaro kahit isang game. So parang sayang yung chance na yun na, kasi since for me naging rookie din ako, na feel ko rin yung pressure na yun. So parang for me na yung chance na yun sayang for my rookies na malabas nila yung talents nila, yung everything nila. Like yung ibang players from the rookies naging players din nila Belay, nila Coach Belay, nila Coach Pimp. So parang yung chance na yon na mag-give yung opportunity na yon, sayang. So nung ngayon, what I'm doing right now is like I'm saying like sometimes I'm frustrated about it because like kasi wala naman tayong magawa kasi we're stuck here, like I mean we're doing our part also. So but also rin yung part na kailangan mo i-maintain yung pagiging student athlete mo. So for me, as a student athlete, it's frustrating right now then kasi you have to focus also sa mga schoolworks mo. As of now kasi sa Lasal, we still have online classes. So right now, I'm really focusing first more on my academics. So mas tatapusin ko muna yung mga acads ko. That's when, by the time na okay na, so yun, I'll focus more on myself after, like continue working out, improve more, ganun.
Yes, of course, that's a good insight in terms of what the student athlete is having to deal with at the moment. And now we'll turn it over to this time around a working athlete. So Pam, outside of football, we also know that you have a full-time job. So take us through what it's like having to balance both responsibilities.
I'm gonna be honest with you, Tosh. It's been difficult to balance both right now, you know, especially with COVID. I'm actually busier now than before COVID, you know. For the past 2 to 3 weeks, I've been working on a home delivery service with my dad. I work with them. We distribute Unilever products. So every day, parang I start working at 8 a.m. and then sometimes I end as late as 8 p.m., you know, managing orders, delivery, etc. But I think it's also important to take it to myself, to know my responsibility as an athlete. So thankfully, my club team has been providing us like a program to help us stay in shape. So it's really making time to commit to my responsibilities because this is the reality of a football player, you know. It's a privilege to parang live off it. And most of the time, we don't have that privilege. And the same time, it's an opportunity for the future na hopefully when we continue to start developing the sport in the country, it is something that the future generation can benefit then, di ba? Na in a way they could live off playing the sport that we all love. So right now we don't have that privilege yet, but hopefully in the future it's something that could be possible for all of the younger generation.
Of course, that again, as you said, during our times of playing, that it's not a luxury that we have, but it's nice to see, especially until nowadays, that you girls are still fighting for that spot, fighting for the chance to play, even though it takes 2 times the effort, because you have to make a living and at the same time be able to perform and keep that performance as well. Ina, you're an elite athlete yourself. I'd like to ask you somewhat the same question with Cam. So during these times, how hard is it as an elite player to adjust to your regular training to home training? So this was a question again posted by Coach Let.
Hi, Coach Let. No, how hard it is? It's difficult. I mean, it sucks not playing with your team, or it sucks that you're not training with the team, and all you have to do is be as creative as possible, that you can still train or do something that's related to your sport. Because me, I'm a goalkeeper, diba? So it's more of like ball handling, like with our hands rather than on our feet, but it's still important, feet. But it's difficult because there's no field. I can't really dive. I can't really do the normal things I do in training, and all I can do is rely on a ball and the wall, and that's pretty much it. So the responsibility, like what Cam said, we have to stay fit, because at the end of the day we're gonna come back as athletes. It's about priorities, making time for yourself, making time for to stay fit and staying active. And yeah, thankfully that Kaya's been conducting also like Zoom sessions with the team, so that keeps us we still have that sense of belongingness where when it comes to like team feeling, or like having a family like that, because we get to see each other and at least every day, or like most times of the week since we started working out. So yeah, there's that. And Coach Let should join our next workout also.
Yeah, that's a special shout out to Coach Let to join their trainings as well. Ina, you've also played a very active role in spreading awareness when it comes to the national team. So at this time around, I'd like to ask you, where do you see yourself in the future of women's football?
Very interesting question. Well, definitely I'm planning to stay in the sport industry. I don't think I see myself outside that. But I do want in the future, or like right now, I want to be able to give opportunities that I didn't have to the young ones. Also, but we all know that my passion's with goalkeeping, so I'm looking for the next homegrown goalkeeper. And I think now is the best time, since I'm still playing, I can be a good example and show them how that with hard work you can really do a lot of things. But actually, I've been working on some projects, and I'm still trying to figure out how I can best help aspiring youth players in moving forward, because I really believe that there's a lot of talent here, but just not enough opportunities yet. So that's what we're trying to build the gap towards that.
Of course, that's good to know. And we'd like to hear from the other captain of the women's national team. So again, this question was by Coach Let. The first question I'm going to ask you is, at the 2019 Southeast Asian Games, you announced to the team your retirement. Is there any chance to continue playing for the women's national team?
Well, yeah, like I said in the end of the 2019 campaign, I decided to stop playing for the national team. I think I contributed as much as I can, and now it's the next generation's turn. I'm getting old, so it's time for me to start focus on other aspects of my life. But given the trend, the future for Philippine women's football is very bright. So I'm excited to see what's next for them.
Okay, and of course, Patrice, as you all know, there was a time when you did stop playing for a while. And during that time, you were our assistant coach. You were the assistant coach of the national team.
Yes.
And at the same time, you were also coaching U14, U15, and also coach the U16 women's youth national team. So I guess the next question really is, what's next for Patrice Impelido?
Well, since I'm not going to be playing with the national team anymore, I'll be able to spend more time with my family and friends, and hopefully I get to visit my family more in the States. But right now I'm working on finishing my grad school at UP. I actually took 2 years off because to play football. Hopefully while doing that, I gain more knowledge about coaching. Right now I'm actually working with Beachhead FC as one of the coaches, together with Coach Joyce, Coach Joe, Coach Ginny, and PT Anna. So I'm very lucky to be able to look up to them and learn from them. I also plan on taking more coaching courses and workshops. And then hopefully later down the road, maybe get attached again to the youth teams, the youth national teams, or any school team, if it's like high school or a college team. And then, yeah, and then right now I'm lucky to still be able to play for KFC under Coach Let. So it's still nice to be able to play and then at the same time learn from Coach Let as a player and a coach.
Of course, that's good to know. And, you know, it's also a notable thing to note that two of our players here as well both have their C license, which is Ina Palacios and Patrice Impelido. So, of course, you know, moving forward, it also shares a bit of light, knowing that the future in women's football is going to be bright, of course, being led by the team captain, co-captain, now captain Ina, and the ex-player Patrice Impelido. I got lost there, but it's nice to know that, you know, these girls are also taking that next step, that next initiative to make sure that the grassroots program continues to grow because they're able to share their experiences with the younger generation. So, Belay, do you have anything to add to that?
No, because there's a lot of people watching, I hope, that aren't really in the football industry but are in the sports industry or are women in sports. To share the C license is because in football there's steps like to be a licensed coach. So C license is the first step towards becoming a B licensed coach, an A licensed coach, and eventually professional. And I think from the experience of the girls, actually no, Ina had it kind of easy. Tasha is a B licensed coach. It's not that easy. It's a very grueling 2 weeks, 3 weeks that you have to undergo. 1 month, sorry, because it wasn't the 2 weeks yet for Tasha. But Ina had it easy. They didn't have to wake up at 5 a.m. every day or 4:30 a.m. every day.
It's still pretty hard, Bella.
I know, but like the time, because it was traffic where they were, that was the excuse. But no, I'm just kidding. It's very grueling and it's a commitment to take that. And I mean, Patrice has already put it into use, coaching with the youth national team, and hopefully the girls on the screen will one day be all part in that streamline to become coaches in the youth and eventually down the line national team coaches at the senior level. That's all I wanted to add. And Coach Let that they keep talking about is Coach Let Dimson, of course, the women's senior national team coach, and Kaya FC women's coach. Would you like to ask them for their last words?
Yeah, so we'll start off with the youngster, Shai. Just a bit of, I guess, what message do you want to leave for younger girls out there, for athletes as well who are watching this forum?
I guess all I want you guys to know is like you should really like dream, like kasi if wala yung mindset mo to what you want, kasi hindi mo makukuha yun, like lalo na if walang puso. So parang if hindi yan nag-work at the same time, if hindi sila nag-work at the same time, so parang ginagawa mo siya dahil gusto mo or ginagawa mo siya dahil gagawin mo lang. So parang dapat may purpose yun. Dapat gagawin yung gusto mong mangyari. Dapat lagyan mo ng compassion ba. Parang yun nga. Parang dream to what you want to be. Ganun. It's like push yourself more.
Gosh, wait, commercial break lang. Fun fact, I reached Shy. Teammate ko siya in her first women's team.
Women's league.
I'm not that old yet. The age the age gap of the screen is still fine. We're still good.
Still correct.
This one.
And syempre, of course, Shy's journey has been amazing so far, you know, and especially at such a young age, you know, it's nice to see and for a young bright star and to see what's next for you in women's football, most especially with the national team. And of course, Cam, we'd like to ask you that same thing. What message do you want to leave with the people out there? You know, especially that in terms of your impact, most especially I'd say on the Ateneo community, when you think of the Ateneo women's football team, a lot of them really look up to you. So what message do you have for collegiate players out there?
I think to just keep playing, keep being open to growth. And I think I want to leave a message siguro for the stakeholders of women's football more. Invest in the sport. The future for women's football really is bright, and we cannot expect progress if there's no preparation and commitment also from, you know, stakeholders to make it happen. I think we're on a running clock, di ba? Na sana ngayon na nandito yung team na pwedeng magdala sa atin sa, like, get us to many places. Let's maximize it. Let's make the most out of the girls that we have, because really the possibilities are endless. World Cup was within our reach siguro 2 years ago, and hopefully we continue this progress so that we could make it to the next one. So again, investment.
So to everyone watching out there, we'll post our bank account. No, I'm just kidding. But invest in women's football as a whole. Ina, you know, you have a very specialized position. Not a lot of girls play that position. What's your message to the girls out there, most especially goalkeepers as well, female goalkeepers?
Well, my message to them, actually in general, it's that, you know, you have to find your passion. And then you work around that passion, because once you work around that passion, everything else will just fall into place. Like what Shai said, because I always tell this to her, you just have to dream. When you dream, you believe it. And once you believe it, it's just all gonna fall into place, because you won't even notice the process. It's not even gonna be a hard process, because you don't realize that you're already working towards the dream that you have. And for me, if you have that very strong feeling in you, you take advantage of it, because it will take you to far places that you wouldn't even think that you would reach. And so if you're like aspiring, you're an aspiring athlete, goalkeeper, or anyone to do anything in life, you just have to believe that you can. And then I'm pretty sure 100% you're gonna make it.
Definitely. You know, I can honestly say that I relate to you in that aspect, in a sense that, you know, even for me personally, that I started out, again, as well with you guys playing for the national team. And it was because I played for the women's national team that all these ventures to be able to spread football, to talk about football, opened up for me after my playing years. So as he said, if you dream it, if you believe in something, eventually, you know, you can have a future in it. All you have to do is just take that first step, you know, work on your passion, work on something you believe in, and eventually your dreams do come true. So Patrice, I'd want to ask you again, of course, you've lived that dream as a player. Can you take us through, you know, what you want to say to everyone, especially that you've played for the national team the longest?
She's gonna say she's gonna come back.
No.
More
yeah,
caps.
I mean, like what Ina was saying, like, yeah, you have to have that dream, like you have to have that passion. But it just depends on how you go through it. Because of course, it's never easy. Like, it's never easy to get there. So of course, there's going to be stuff thrown at you. It's just how you get through it. So if you're able to push through all those obstacles, I think you'll be able to reach it. Like, yeah, because it's fun. Like, I had the privilege to be able to play for the national team over the years, but then I also had to sacrifice a lot. But it all makes it like it's all worth it. So, yeah.
Wait, can I just share one thing? when me and Pimp in Tajikistan, when we qualified for the Asian Cup finals, I looked at Pimp and I looked at her with like a blank face, and then she looked at me like crying, and I'm like, wow. Pimp was like, dude, we did it. And then I'm like, wow, did we really? It was just so surreal because we like, especially for Pimp, I knew how much, how special it is for her in that moment because she's been with the team ever since. Like she really saw the journey of the team from nothing to something and something bigger. And she could tell the potential of where we could go. And parang that's why it was so emotional after we lost in SEA Games for our third our bronze match. It was because I wanted to send Pimp off with something special. And I was just like, damn. Sorry.
But we made it. We're so good.
It's not a bad word.
I don't know. Well, I'm very passionate right now, but yeah, it was just for me. I think Pimp is very inspirational for me. Growing up into the sport, especially also you, Tosh. You guys know that. You guys have seen me like babies. I was a baby, and then now, not one of the old ones now.
Yeah. To add to that story, I also cried when you guys won in that Tajikistan game. I think you know this. I think I said
you told me.
Sent you a voice note of me like really just celebrating because again, women's football, that was, I think that stepping stone really that made sure that we were going towards the right direction. That tournament in Tajikistan really launched that second phase for women's football to something that the players decided to stay together. And you could see how much you girls have grown all together in the sport as well. And, as we're talking about passion, number one is you need passion, but I also just want to add that it also takes discipline, a lot of discipline to be able to do what these girls have done over the years. Because if you don't have discipline, like passion isn't enough. You also have to be self-disciplined and be able to choose your priorities, right? And, the girls down here have sacrificed a lot to be able to play for the national team. But then you can see it and you can hear it in the way that they talk. You can feel how much sense of fulfillment they have when they talk about the game. And, with that, of course, I'd like to thank all four of you, Ina, Patrice.
Sorry, we still have time. Sorry to cut you off.
Thanking them to go back to.
We have a phone-in question if that's okay. I don't know if Coach Joyce Landagan was able to reach out to you, Tosh, but she has a question that anyone, including Tosh, can answer. What's the difference of the Philippine way of playing before and now, and what's the factors to lead to how we played now? So anyone can take that. Sorry if it's anticlimactic, but I think it can enrich the conversation.
I think I'd throw it first to Ina, since Ina, you played before and you also played now. So give us your 2 cents on that.
Pip also. I did mention that we didn't have the identity of the Philippine way before compared to now. It was because for one reason we always adjusted to the other teams and we just stuck to defense. I would say we were really a good defensive team because looking at the scoreline, it's not bad at all. We would even score goals, but those are like breakaways. And now we're developing that Philippine style or like Philippine play, we're now moving the ball better. We actually playing. We have different plays. We can play in the middle. We can play on the side, but we're confident because we already have that chemistry going on. I think that's the big factor why the Philippine way is working because of the chemistry that we've built through the years. So now we're more confident holding the ball, having the ball, and that's the big difference now because we're actually holding the ball and we already have possession. It's not like before after 1 or 2 passes, it's with the other team agad. Now we can make like more than 15, a lot of passes, and it's a very, very good improvement, I would say.
I think what I'd like to add to that is that because I joined the national team in 2006-07 and 2006/2007. So I was there with Pimp in a sense that during those times that there was at SEA Games where Thailand really just ate us alive back. It was really, it's a lot to take in. And then, we continuously work on it, but we were always, a step behind. There was a moment in, I'd say 2013. I remember that time that was under Coach Ernie. It was a World Cup qualifier match. And during that time, we introduced more US-based players because we saw the 2013, 2012, sorry, 2012.
13, Tosh, the AFC.
Capacity of the US-based players such as Patrice and what added impact they have to the national team. So during that time, there were a lot of foreign-based players who were also playing in the national team. And I remember in that World Cup qualifier in Bangladesh, it was a very good season. For me, that was during my time of playing, that was really the benchmark in a sense that during that World Cup qualifier match, we only lost to Thailand 1-0. And, we were just literally 1 point away from making it to the next stage of the World Cup qualifier, and having a good run against Iran, beating them 5-1, if I'm not mistaken. And we beat Bangladesh also. So, but the problem there was that it was inconsistent. So the national team players would change throughout the years. So it was never really the same team. So the consistency of the girls and the commitment, and I guess also with the changes of coaches. So we'd have a different coach almost every year. For a while, it was with Coach Ernie, and I guess at that time, he was able to reinforce the team and have players that were also, at that level of commitment. But again, after that, it was hard for the girls to stay committed with the national team. So that was really the thing. Like, it just was inconsistent. And then we went back to like 4-0 defeats, 3-0. And then until now, we're in the girls now with the consistency of being able to play together all throughout the past 3 years. I'd say that has really allowed the team to grow together. Patrice, anything you want to add to that, especially since you played all throughout those years?
Yeah, like back in 2005, we were very defensive. I felt like we would never cross the halfway line. Like, all we did, we get the ball, we kick it as far as we can. All right, now we set back into our compact defensive, whatever. But then, yeah, like what you said, there was the past 3 years, we were able to have consistency. So we actually had the same core of girls always playing together, and then we had the same coach. So by playing together for 3 years, we were able to build that chemistry. So like what Ina was saying, we were confident to keep the ball. We were actually keeping possession, and we were able to create those chances that we were able to score against Thailand and Vietnam and Myanmar. So yeah, I feel like that would be our style of play. Is we're creative and we'll take our chances whenever we get them.
We just need to capitalize, no? Shy.
Yeah.
But it's good to see, the confidence of the players now, especially moving forward. Belay.
No, I'm good.
All right. So first of all, again, and lastly, I'd like to thank as well Ina, Patrice, Cam, Shai. Thank you for taking the time today to spread awareness about women's football. And of course, you're reminding everyone that, these are tough times, but, you can take care of yourself. Just make sure to take care of yourself. Stay safe, stay indoors, and always wash your hands. Belay, we'll throw it back to you.
Hey, you got my ending line. Shit. Anyway, so I cannot end this this Facebook live feed without thanking one of, I guess now he's a mentor who inspired this type of series or panel to come about, Coach Noli Ayo of Ateneo de Davao, who is putting up a series of sports forums every MWF. If you're ever interested to join, just send a message or message him, Noli Ayo. So tomorrow it's about building your team at 10 a.m. with Coach Vin Santos being the lead speaker. So it's a very interesting format, very different from what we did today. Today is our audience is hearing us speak, seeing us, but there it's very interactive, wherein as after the speaker speaks, you go into breakout rooms and you get to share your thoughts on what the speaker said. So it's more of a sharing of knowledge, but still very grateful for the inspiration to get us here today. So again, like I said in the start, this series is meant to engage the stakeholders, like what Cam is asking for, of women's football, and keep us connected during these times. More importantly, to get the conversation going on, especially in women's football, which I think we started today, and we will continue to do so next Thursday at 3 p.m. But next week, we will have guests, Coach Anto Gonzalez of UP, to name one, and it's about the PFF Women's League. It will have the PFF Women's League coaches. The topic will be coaches' perspective on where we go from here. And like Tasha said, stay safe, stay home, and wash your hands. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.